tonight's individually numbered tactical enhancement is Compliments of Uncle Simpson. Tonight we're playing Victory at Sea, 1500 points, and I've brought the British out again, see if I can figure out how to use them properly against Emilio's very trusty Italians. Now we've done deployment, we've done the fleet advantage roll-offs. Nobody got any advantage out of that. We had the same amount of dice to roll, so it's very even. Now Emilio, talk us through what you've got.
So I've got the Littorio class battleships. I've got two of them, 550 points each. Yes. They've got 60 point upgrades, so they actually have additional AA defence built into them.
Which is hilarious, because I'm not taking any torpedo bombers.
I've just read as well, they've got radar, but I didn't... It was actually something that's included within the 60 points, but didn't allow for that.
Let's see if I get the focus right, my shiny new toy.
And I've also got the Aquila class defence carrier. That normally carries 12 flights, but I also paid for an upgrade to get some additional flights, and that's now to 16 flights, and I went for 8 bombers and 8 fighters.
That's probably a good move, actually. That makes it very competitive.
And there's 2 destroyers in reserve.
Alright. And for the British, we have the... okay. I've got 2 cruisers in reserve, which I don't normally do, but I figure I want to go after that carrier. I wanted the extra points to try and get some fleet advantage, but I didn't get it. And what's on the table is the Hood. We'll see if it doesn't blow up today. It usually does. We've got a King George V, and we have a carrier over there with 15 flights. I went all fighters because... well, the British bombers, I don't like them very much. They're not very good. They're not going to do shit against Emilio's fleet. So I thought I'll just keep him off of my destroyers while I have my 3 destroyers there running smoke and interference. And if I'm very lucky, they get up close and dump some torpedoes. Now, for anyone who's new to the game, the way that reserves work is anything that you deploy to do scouting, usually any cruisers and destroyers, you roll a d6 at the end of each turn for each ship that's out scouting, and on a 6 it turns up in the start of the movement phase of the next turn. That said, we're going to pause filming here so we can roll to see who gets first turn, and we'll check in at the end of turn 1. Right, end of turn 1. Very little to report. These guys move forward, drop some smoke. These ships started their attack run. The carriers is moving up slowly. They got orders to launch an extra couple of planes. I did not, so I only launched 1 plane. There's a whole lot of jostling over here while we figure out how to configure our fleet. In such a way as to survive 18 fucking shots a turn of those long range bastards until such times we get close enough to do it back to them. Now we'll just roll our dice at the end of this turn to see what's coming back next turn, if anything. And nobody gets anything in from reserves, from scouting. So we shall now roll initiative for turn 2. 9, that's useful. Six. Alright, so we'll get initiative again, which probably won't make much difference at this point in the game. It will be crucial later on when the big boys start shooting. Right, turn 2. Got the initiative again, as you saw. The carriers both moved up slightly in their respective spaces. And the battleships moved up, and he's moving them together, but by some good fortune, one of the Littorios is out of position. It's just over the horizon still. And that saved my banking, because I was not able to get my destroyers in position to lay smoke, while also getting initial shots off, trying to get both of my capital ships to gang up on that ship there. Now, both the King George and the Littorio did very well, and each of them dropped 3 criticals on the other, all on the bloody engines, which has a knock-on effect to crew. So the King George is not happy, and neither is that guy. The hood pumped out a little bit of extra damage, but not enough to write home about. And I think the hood took a critical to the engine as well. Don't know why, everyone seems to be shooting at the back end of the ship. Now Emilio got orders and got an extra flight up.
And you got 2 up?
Yeah, and I got extra flights up. So I think Emilio's got an advantage of 1 fighter over my fighters, but he's trying to get all his fighters out to mob mine before he gets his bombers out, which makes good sense. But the dice are just playing a little bit too evenly at the moment to allow that to happen. So I'm keeping mine in reserve so I can mob up all of my fighters and not get completely creamed and then leave my, mostly my lighter ships out of position. Or vulnerable, shall I say. Now we roll again to see whether our scouting vessels come back, and I get one back. And Emilio gets one back. Whoa, lovely. Now we roll for initiative. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's a 2. That's not what I want.
10.
10.
Oh,
right.
0 is a 10. Oh, okay. So
It is.
a good thing to look at.
So we'll move into turn 3, this time with the Italians having the initiative. End of turn 3. And, well, okay, we're still screening his carry here, which is just as well, because this battleship's going for it. In the meantime, he dumped a broadside at the hood and missed completely. That was amazing. There was some exchange of fire between the hood and this Italian battleship. And in return, the King George fired at the Italian battleship. Didn't do a lot, really. And the hood fired at it. Got a critical and smashed its rudder. That thing is now turning right. Or going so slow it doesn't matter. Over on the far side of the table, oh, geez, I'm going to try and zoom in without getting Emilio's crotch in the picture. Oh, let's see if we can do that.
Can you do a love heart?
Yeah, that's out of picture, thanks, mate. So my reserve ship came in and when parked it next to his aircraft carrier. Emilio managed to get the destroyer just behind it. I fired the 3 torpedoes and the guns at the carrier, and I did a bit of damage, but nothing too serious with the torps. They rolled pretty average. That said, that destroyer fired at the cruiser, the light cruiser, with its torpedoes, got 1 hit in as well, and rolled a bit average. So a whole lot of torpedoes that could have annihilated ships did nothing. So yeah, I did some damage, but that cruiser is now 2 points off of crippled. So it depends a bit on initiative next turn as to whether or not he gets a round out. Okay, then we had this mess here where Emilio did a fighter conga line because he had initiative. He got to move his planes onto mine in the order he wanted. And the dice helped him, but really he did the right thing in order to smash my 2 fighters. And these guys that were screening the other destroyer were left unmolested. So it'll be an interesting turn next coming up, because I've still got a couple of fighters over here that can join the fray. And that said, we are now on to damage control.
Yeah.
We get a dice per ship. So no damage control for the Italian ship. And for the... did you have a critical on the carrier?
No.
No, okay. And this is damage control for the hood. No. Oh dear. And yes, the problem is when it hit the hood...
it escalated.
Yeah. You got the engines again. So it's escalating the engines. Yeah, the hood's not in a good way. But we'll see what we can do. Special orders next turn. I think we're going to have to put that thing on damage control. That said, it's now time to roll initiative for turn 4. Oh yeah, 10. That's what we needed. And an 8. Alright, well, we'll check in at the end of turn 4. Right, it's turn something. I'll figure out which turn it is later and put it in a PowerPoint. Well, things got busy. Basically, all the criticals the big boys have been doing to each other tallied up. and things just started exploding all over the place. The hood has continued its fine tradition of blowing up in every fucking game I fielded it. In return, however, we got some rounds from the King George on the Italian battleship, and we also dumped torpedoes in from both flanks. And he did pump a lot of light guns at them, but they didn't really achieve anything on the destroyers. Yeah, that bracket of torpedoes and both sets of torpedoes rolled rather well.
It was a complete overkill.
It was massive overkill. It was like several D6 more that was needed to sink it.
But those destroyers are spent for their torpedoes now.
They are.
And Chris this turn lost the hood, but he also lost a cruiser, so overall he's lost 2 ships.
So the cruiser I had over there, it dumped its other set of torpedoes on the carrier and hit it. I've just been rolling a bit average on the torpedoes over there. Not to hit, that's been okay, but in terms of what they actually rolled for damage. So that's all good. Now, I've moved my destroyer up to start an attack run over here, because he's just at a point where he's not going to be useful dropping smoke, and if he's broadside he'll just get shot up. I've been successful in getting planes out. Now Emilio's got less planes actually in the air, but he's still rolling above the odds and thinning out my air wing. Yeah, and it's worth noting that the hood went down to gunnery fire mostly from that ship, and it just accrued turn after turn. This thing's not really damaged, I don't think.
No, and that's not really damaged as well.
No, we just got a few points on that, but no criticals in our first volley from this fella. So it's looking pretty even. I do still have a cruiser in reserve, and I do have, and it's worth noting the Italians have a destroyer in reserve. Now, I was going to roll damage control on the hood. I actually tried to roll damage control and I didn't succeed, so the hood had actually already taken damage from Escalation from last turn. If I'd had my damage control, it would have been 3d6 less damage on the hood. Probably not enough to save it, given the ship we were rolling. So on that note, let's see if reserve ships are turning up next turn. No. And no for Emilio. It's a shame I could do with a cruiser right now, right about there.
Yeah.
That would be useful. Then now we'll do initiative for this turn. 10. Whoa. And Emilio gets 4. I must admit, I've been lucking out with...
This guy's...
I've been lucking out with initiative every turn, well, except for one. On the other hand, Emilio's got very few ships on the table. So the fact that I've got more cheap ships on the table is helping me basically do more interesting things and be in the right position at the right time, which has really helped, especially with things like getting those destroyers on their target. So we'll check in at the end of turn, whatever the hell this is, maybe 5, I think, and we will see what the carnage is then. So the battleship came in and poured 9 rounds at point blank range into that aircraft carrier. It took a massive 15 points off. Didn't do a lot else to it though. We're both pumping out planes like there's no tomorrow, and there's this rollicking dogfight going over here. We're both taking casualties, which is interesting because I'm still getting the advantage of +1 on pretty much every roll, but I'm still getting equal damage. This bomber had a crack, and they're tough fighters, right? So I actually can't shoot them out of the sky even when it's just one of them coming in. But 2 bombing runs in a row, he's managed to miss. This destroyer did get his torpedoes off, did a bit of damage, a little bit of critical, but nothing game changing. And then the King George put rounds on the Italian battleship. Did a fair chunk of damage, there's a bit of escalation going, so but it wasn't overwhelming. So this fight is still well and truly on. It's really a race to see whether he can smash the aircraft carrier before I smash the battleship.
And you've got no more torpedoes.
Yeah, my destroyers are all out of torpedoes. I don't think I'm going to get to the carrier over there to redress the balance.
So should we try for reserves to see if
yeah, we'll roll for reserves, see if anything comes on.
Difference way
Hey,
forward.
I get one.
Oh no, I didn't. Oh no.
That's gonna hurt. I think you're getting a bit diced today, Emilio. There's a bit of bias in the luck. And on to initiative. 9, fucking hell. Rolling well. 8. You're getting screwed in the initiative rolls today.
Oh, I'm rolling okay. You're just rolling great.
Oh, true.
You got a 10, you got...
You're better with the D6s.
Yeah.
And you better roll for some damage control.
Yeah.
See if you can get that fire under control. And no, none of us have passed the damage control roll today. Alright, so we will check in next turn. At this point of the game, it's safe to say that Emilio's getting diced. I keep coming up with the extra flights. Emilio's not getting as many. Over here, my carrier's kind of going like the clappers to get away from this battleship. It's still dumping all 9 guns at it, but Emilio's just not getting
But I can't repair because my bridge is gone, and I've got a 5-engine escalation.
Yeah. So we're all damage control in a moment. The thing is, look, I've been rolling a bit below average on this chap, but then getting great criticals. This fella just isn't rolling that well.
I've been rolling great hits, but no criticals.
Yeah, so we're knocking hull points off all over the place, but it just takes too long to do that without the criticals. The destroyers are all hooning off, looking for a target that could actually hurt. My cruiser turned up and dumped his torps at the carrier. That carrier is living a blessed life, actually. It's had 6 fucking torpedoes. No, it's had 9 torpedoes thrown at it, and it's still not been fucked up by them. Bit of gunnery flapping around. The bombers took a few points off the cruiser over there. So there's a little bit of a mini battle happening behind the island, and we're just chasing after that ship to try and do something to it. Then in the dogfight, I finally got the advantage after rolling below average and attriting planes. We finally got through the fighter screen there. That took some doing. As it stands, my capital ship's looking good. Emilio's just trying to polish off survive and polish off the ship. Now, if his destroyer turns up next turn, it's going to turn up with a belly load of torpedoes and cause me some trouble.
We're going to roll a 6. You want me to roll a 6 now?
Yeah, roll a 6 for your damage control. Nope, that's going to escalate.
Roll a 6 from a reserve to come
on? Yes. No, the dice are just not good. It's lucky we're not in the fucking casino, put it that way.
Yeah,
Initiative. 6.
Oh, I can beat that.
Yeah,
I can beat that.
Yep. Oh, fucking hell, man.
you gotta stop rolling your dice against the cliff. That's why the
dice falling off the cliff.
Right, okay. On that note, we'll check in shortly. Right, well, it's pumpkin o'clock and it's time to call it a day. What happened? Right, my carrier kept trying to get away. My battleship had to keep moving, so it's put him just in the rear arc of... Well, hey, there used to be a battleship there. And over here we had this little knife fight happening with a couple of destroyers, a cruiser and a carrier. Now, Emilio was pumping out bombers, but they didn't do a lot. I think they just took a couple of hull points off of this fella. Yeah. We finally polished up that dogfight. It was a bit rough at this point. That's a bomber. He spent all bloody day sitting at the back of a dogfight, shooting away, trying to help out the fighters, and... He
had 2 victories and 1 loss.
As a neutral observer, that's your man of the match, really. Right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's dead. It's a posthumous award.
He killed 2 jets by himself, right? Yeah.
Well, that was a hell of a fight. Now, This was the day of engine hits. Just about 4 out of 5 criticals were engine hits, and even the ones that weren't engine hits, most of the time were a result of an engine critical causing a critical somewhere else. And it's a real testimony to how the damage tables feed back on themselves. But this thing got to the point where it just had, like, I think...
37 hull points left, and in that turn, he lost all 37, and it still had 3d6 of dice to go.
Yeah, and look, this battleship here, the King George, it was rolling a low number of hits, but it was rolling a fucking lot of criticals relative to the number of hits. Yeah, confirmed 3 of them. 1 of them went on the bridge and 2 of them went on the engine after the engine had already hit level 6 on escalation. So it's basically... And I think the way the rules are written is that if you get more criticals on an area that's already at level 6, you just apply level 6 again. And I think
Yeah, there's an overkill in the end. Yeah.
massive overkill. It basically went down in a blazing glory of multiple explosions.
Well, my objective was to reach that aircraft carrier and sink it, and I had 3 turns of hitting, but no criticals.
Yeah,
Really
you dumped
nothing
out plenty of damage dice, but
lots of
no
damage dice, but the criticals didn't come over.
Yeah.
The aircraft carrier, it took a lot of hits.
Oh, that thing took a
from
beating.
2 cruisers. It took 1 cruiser out.
The aircraft
did.
carriers, both of you guys were pretty tanky. They didn't.
Yeah.
Well, it's only because his were lighter guns than mine. I should have taken that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
torpedoes. Is
That
what,
probably should have
12
been either dead or crippled, well and truly.
That smoke couldn't get the 12 torpedoes.
I put 9 torpedoes into that fucking thing. I think 3 of them hit.
If you had 3
Four
more,
of
it
them,
could have been.
4 of them hit. And they just didn't do the criticals. My destroyers did a wonderful job, I have to say. One of them chipped away at this fella, and we just did a horrible thing for that. And this is the thing, right? I knew Emilio was going to try and go for my destroyers, mostly because of the smoke factor. But my smoke didn't do a very good job, to be honest. I fucked it up.
The mistake I made is I split my battleships up, and so the one that was closest to you was the most vulnerable that got hit and destroyed first.
Yeah.
What I should have done is actually peeled him away this way and made him come to me, and we should have stayed together. And then together we could have taken out that aircraft carrier and then...
So if you made a beeline this way with one, because of the way you deployed it, that's the way it would have to go, and a beeline with the other one over here, you would have been double broadsiding me as I moved towards you, and you... Look, even though this fellow's got armor 7, and Hood's only got 5, the fact is you put very few rounds
into him.
From the second ship, and you put a lot of those rounds into this fella. But I think in a gunnery duel, even though your armor's a bit less than this bloke, the number of total shots is the same, but you've got the range over the Hood, and the Hood's just going to melt under that much firepower.
I think every time you've presented the Hood to me, I've sunk the Hood.
Yep.
Yeah.
And see, this guy got away almost scot-free. The destroyers took bits of damage. I think, there were things I didn't do very well. Like I didn't get the smoke right. Sending the cruiser over this way by itself seemed like a great idea, but I sort of overestimated what to expect from the torpedoes.
You know, Chris, if my battleship had survived, we could have actually had a draw.
Yes. So over here I've got 125 points worth of planes, got 110 point cruiser, so it's 235 plus 4, 635 plus sort of damage on other ships. That probably would have been close to crippled, if not already. I think you're look, to be honest with you, I don't think you did too many things wrong in the game. It's really just not grouping your capital ships.
Criticals converted on the aircraft carrier.
Yeah, well, which look, there's things you can control and things you can't. Of the things you can control, it was not grouping your ships, but everything else you did was really good.
For one in the sky, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you did. You made a fucking mess in the sky. I mean, look, you lost quite a few planes in the end, but I don't know how many points those are each. But you're taking out Supermarine Spitfires, and that's impressive.
Yeah.
But the dice fucked you 6 ways from Sunday. Not, I might tend to whinge about my dice, but if I was you, I'd be maybe thinking of melting 1 or 2 of them to set an example for the rest. Well, gentlemen, what have we learned?
How many hull points did that aircraft carrier end up with in the end? After
This fella ended up with 27.
Yeah, it was close. So one
55.
solid hit would have taken him out.
And 18 is the cripple point, so it's 9 points off of crippled, which is it's taken a walloping.
It was close. 9 points off cripple.
So a few criticals on that, and a few escalates, and that would have been a different
If
game.
you're cripple, could you have flights take off the deck?
Don't know, probably
Or
not.
maybe you could limit the flights, or...
You certainly would not be able to issue orders, put it that way. I mean, going after it was not a bad idea. And look, to be honest with you, if your destroyer had turned up and...
The game plan, Chris, was to take out the aircraft carrier and survive with that battleship, and then see how we fall out with the points.
See, the one thing I did right was using one of the destroyers to screen the carrier the whole time. You really needed your destroyers to turn up and then apply them over here and kill this.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Yeah.
But that said, the fact that you applied one over there took... basically that was the thing that wasted the cruiser, right?
Yeah.
With the ones that don't appear, do you get the points? And do they count as
Yeah,
destroyer
he doesn't
again?
get the points.
Oh, so they just...
No, he'll go home and talk of a heroic victory of which he was the only survivor.
Torpedoes. It was really needed 6 torpedoes.
It's interesting the bombing reload thing, how they drop a bomb and then reload. I think that's cool. What it meant that you had here like a bit of almost like a... There was no space for all the jets. You couldn't either get them out or reload them all.
You'd really have to be playing a mega multi-turn game to muck around with that, and possibly one where you've got all your flights up at the start of the game. Run off and do your thing, then fly them back, and maybe you get them back for turns, 7 or 8. Because if you don't, in order to get planes up in the air more than like your combat air patrol of 2 flights, you have to pay the points of the planes on top of the carrier. And then you can put, if I wanted to spend 250 points, I could put 10 flights up of Supermarine Spitfires right at the start of the game.
Ah, I see. Yep.
Which is not a bad idea, particularly for Japanese, and you want to keep the Americans off you.
Yep.
But then that's like a heavy cruiser's worth of points you pay.
Yeah, definitely.
But if I didn't deploy an aircraft carrier, so I didn't invest in an aircraft carrier or flights, his fighters wouldn't really do anything to my fleet.
That's right.
So that his aircraft carrier and his planes were a waste of points. And that's the risk to load up, and then there's nothing to actually target.
Yeah, because I allocated all my flights to fighters, which was a hell of a gamble. But I figured what Emilio was going to do was
bring an aircraft carrier.
Bring a carrier and go for my destroyers and have a escort for the bombers.
It's exactly what happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
I may have to mix it up next time because he knows I'm onto him now.
Yeah. So I could have easily have gained 250 points of him wasting that carrier for planes that couldn't do anything to me. 250 points could get 2 cruisers.
As someone that doesn't play, I've learned that the weak guns cannot get criticals. It's quite important when you can't. Lucky 6
when there's battleships on
the
you have to take that into account.
The escalating kind of damage, how they all interlink with each other, is pretty cool.
And that's where combo ships that hit all at once and get you to critical, and then you get those. That's where
to take out all those massive 100 power point things.
That's right, and I think, Doug, we're going to have to get you to take a fleet at some point in the near future.
I'll play. I don't reckon I'll. And they're too small and thin. I struggle to paint whatever as it is. But no, it's a very interesting game, and it's really cool to kind of watch. Ryan Tim. That was I thought it was a very close game. You guys obviously knew kind of what was up, but I was like, I don't even know who's winning until maybe the last 2 turns when it was I'm losing. I was like, oh, are you? I didn't really.
It was very even for most of the game.
It was pretty even for most of the game.
The last 2 turns and the criticals piled up in one direction and not the other.
He could have kept that battleship, but I still could have won.
Yeah.
So it was all about getting points.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. If you take out the carrier and you take out that cruiser, and you lose this battleship, you keep your carrier and your destroyers. Very, very close. It might even be enough to swing it.
Yeah.
So anyway, look, that was a fun game. I feel bad about the dice.
Well, it's the first time I think the Italians have lost in the last 4 battles.
I got you with the Japanese last time. I think you were doing me some damage for a while before that. And I got you with the Americans. I think for quite a while before that, you were giving me a very hard time.
Did you say this was your debut with the British as well? First time using the British fleet?
No, I've used them a few times before, but not very often.
Yeah, okay.
And certainly not against the Italians very often. I think I pitched them against the Germans a little while ago and lost a knife fight, if memory serves. I have to check what happened there. But yeah, the British are a bit
I beat them last time I played them.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely. And the British, I'd have to buy other ships to make it a more effective list, because or play small games.
And let's face it, that battleship did more damage to me than any other ship in this game.
Yeah.
But torpedoes also
Well, the
helped.
torpedoes are massive.
Yeah, these 35-point tribal. I mean, they only get like 4 torpedoes total for the whole game, but for 35 points, and
They're
they move it.
devastating
They move it
torpedoes.
7 inches. They're
And they drop smoke.
yeah,
So they're just good just for smoke if you use
worth
them
the weight in gold.
Between you guys, that mean that the British Italian is now 1-1. It sounds like it is.
I think the Italians are probably still ahead on against the British, but
Okay.
I'm starting to slowly figure out how to use the bastards. Well, on that note, look, thanks for watching. Feel free to hit like, subscribe, make a comment, let us know if we screwed anything up horribly. Definitely time. I've got to go up tomorrow and chase a 6-year-old around a park all day, so it's time to call it a night.